They were just two young girls, a camera, and a whimsical lie that captivated a nation. For over 60 years, the Cardingley Fairies stood as a testament to the human desire for wonder, an enduring mystery captured on photographic plates. It wasn't merely a quaint local story. This deception ensnared some of the sharpest minds of the early 20th century, reaching the very pinnacle of the literary world and challenging the burgeoning scientific method. At its heart were two cousins, Elsie Wright and Frances Griffiths, living in the quiet village of Cardingley, Yorkshire. In the summer of 1917, their childhood games took an unexpected turn, sparking a phenomenon that would ripple through society, blurring the lines between fantasy and reality. The initial catalyst was a simple, everyday dispute. Elsie, then 16, and Frances, 10, often played by the beck at the bottom of Elsie's garden. When questioned about their frequent disappearances, they claimed to be playing with fairies. An exasperated mother, Polly Wright, suggested they bring back proof. Elsie, possessing a keen artistic talent, borrowed her father Arthur's Midge quarter-plate camera. What followed were two photographs, taken in July and September of 1917, depicting Frances and Elsie respectively, seemingly interacting with tiny, winged figures. These images, innocent in their creation, would soon become globally infamous. Arthur Wright, a keen amateur photographer, was the first to develop the plates. He dismissed the images as a childish prank, suspecting paper cutouts, a suspicion that proved uncannily accurate. He saw no magic, only evidence of mischief. But his wife, Polly, believed, and her belief would be the first domino. The pictures remained largely a family secret until 1919, when Polly attended a meeting of the Theosophical Society in Bradford, discussing fairy life. Inspired, she shared the photographs. The society, deeply interested in spiritualism and the occult, saw not fakes, but evidence of a hidden world. The images eventually made their way to Edward Gardner, a prominent theosophist and lecturer. He was convinced of their authenticity and presented them to the spiritualist community. But it was his next move, a decision of considerable consequence, that would truly launch the Cardingley Fairies into the public consciousness. Gardner contacted Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the celebrated creator of Sherlock Holmes, a man renowned for his razor-sharp intellect and dedication to logic. Yet, in his later years, Doyle had become a fervent advocate for spiritualism, heartbroken by the loss of his son in World War I. Doyle was preparing an article on fairies for the Christmas 1920 edition of the Strand magazine. The photographs seemed to him irrefutable proof, precisely what he needed. He saw them as a beacon of hope, a spiritual counterpoint to the brutal materialism of a world ravaged by war. Before publishing, Doyle sought expert opinions. He sent the negatives to photographic specialists, including the Eastman Kodak Company. Kodak, after careful examination, declared they could find no evidence of trickery. However, their statement was nuanced. They could confirm no doctoring, but also couldn't confirm authenticity. Doyle interpreted this ambiguity as confirmation. He wanted to believe. And in this desire, a man celebrated for his fictional detective's relentless pursuit of truth, inadvertently became a victim of his own profound need for spiritual solace. In the summer of 1920, Gardner visited Cardingley, taking two more cameras and a fresh set of plates. He instructed the girls to photograph any fairies they encountered. Elsie was now 19, Frances 13. To everyone's astonishment, they produced 3 more stunning images, seemingly depicting fairies in various poses. These 5 photographs, presented by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, caused an international sensation. They appeared in the Strand magazine and later in Doyle's book, The Coming of the Fairies. The world was divided. Believers saw proof of a magical realm, while skeptics decried a clever hoax. The meticulous detail, the natural poses, the sheer audacity of the images made them incredibly convincing to many. The girls themselves remained steadfast, maintaining their story even as media attention and scrutiny intensified. This unwavering conviction was a critical component of the deception's longevity. But what was the mechanic of their deception? The truth, when it finally emerged decades later, was remarkably simple. Elsie, with her artistic talent, had copied illustrations of fairies from a popular children's book, Princess Mary's Gift Book. She then drew them onto cardboard, cut them out, and attached them to hatpins. The pins were then discreetly positioned in the grass or branches. The girls would pose, the camera would click, and the illusion was complete. The limitations of early 20th century photography, particularly its susceptibility to overexposure and blurring, inadvertently aided their cause, softening the edges of their paper creations. The hoax was finally confessed in 1983 by Elsie and Francis themselves, then in their 80s. In an interview with the Great Hoaxes of History, Elsie admitted, "We did it purely as a joke, and we never thought it would go any further than the village." Francis, however, maintained until her death in 1986 that the fifth photograph, the fairy bower, was genuine. This lingering ambiguity from Francis highlights a fascinating aspect of deception, the power of self-deception, or perhaps the profound desire to hold onto a sliver of magic, even in the face of overwhelming evidence. It speaks to the human need for something beyond the mundane. The Cardingley fairies stand as a powerful case study in the psychology of belief. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, a man who championed reason in his fiction, was desperate for spiritual affirmation in his personal life. This emotional vulnerability made him precisely the kind of target susceptible to such a compelling, yet simple, deception. It demonstrates how even the most intelligent and discerning individuals can be swayed when a narrative aligns with deeply held hopes or fears. The girls, through a simple schoolgirl prank, tapped into a collective yearning for wonder in a world scarred by unprecedented conflict. The Cardingley fairies weren't just about fairies, they were about the human condition. They revealed our innate capacity for belief, our longing for enchantment, and the often fragile line between what we wish to be true and what actually is. This hoax, born of innocent play, grew into a worldwide phenomenon, a stark reminder that even the most elaborate deceptions can stem from the simplest origins, exploiting not malice, but our very human need for magic. Next, we unravel the intricate web of a modern art forgery that tricked museums for decades.